Hello, everybody. It's Dr.T here, and I'm coming at you today with one of my rock star graduates of the Live Your Potential program, Miss Shelby. And before I tell you a little bit about Shelby, what I wanted to just share with you all is that, our company receives so many inquiries about our program and different questions, right, through Facebook and email and comments and private messages. And, a lot of times, a lot of you are asking so many different questions about the program. I hear a lot, but this sounds too good to be true. And in general, there can be a sense of intimidation and maybe a barrier and the thought of doing something different and a very different, like a paradigm shift on getting well and on being in top form as a person, it's new and different. So I'm going to start to do another round of interviews with clients that have gone through our program and let them really share with you about their experience and let them, tell you how it is. And so today I've got with me Shelby Appel. And so Shelby, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am 46 years old. I live in South Florida. I am a mother of four beautiful boys. I've always looked on the outside like I'm a very successful, well put together woman. But I've always struggled with people pleasing and being very inconsistent in my life, coming more from a place of always wanting to be my best and but not knowing how to get there, and then kind of feeling empty inside, and not knowing how to just take that up level of my life to that place where it looked like I was performing, but I was feeling not matching. It was not aligned. Right. And so I'm just so excited that I had found you, Dr. T, and your program. It's just worked amazing wonders in my life. It has changed my world. It has given me a relationship with myself, and most importantly, it has allowed the other people in my life to absorb that from me, especially my boys, which I'm really proud of and excited about.
Thank you, Shelby, for that intro. Well, I'm going to want to share with everybody, have you share more about that as we go along today. So, Shelby, you already just gave us a little bit of this, but share with us, if it maybe the things that you were really struggling with the most, or the things that just were motivating you the most when you reached out and came onto a breakthrough call. What was it that was like, why did you really feel you needed to change, or what did you want to change?
Mm-hmm. I think I was always the type of person that was all or nothing, kind of binging, if you will, whether it be food occasionally up and down, alcohol up and down, relationship obsessing up and down. Yeah. I always felt like I would be able to kind of keep myself on track for so long. And then the pain would just internal pain would just kind of manifest and build and build and build. And then I'd act out. And then I'd do something that would make me feel guilty, that was not in line with my true self, that I would know was not really what I wanted to do, but I kind of felt powerless. Yeah. And then I would start the cycle of feeling bad about myself. And then I'd have to put on the happy face, and I'd have to go out and I'd have to be the same person everybody else saw. But the struggles internally, it's really hard to be vulnerable with somebody. But I think the most difficult thing sometimes is to be vulnerable with yourself. Like sometimes you really struggle with like being real with yourself and almost being raw and being able to tell yourself things that you're not telling other people, so that you can get real and you can get to a place of vulnerability with yourself, so that you can say, this is not me. This is not what I was meant for. I am more powerful than this. I do want a life that's better than this. I don't want to be fake. On the outside, I want to be like authentic and real, and I want to be full. And I think was having a lot of marital issues in my life. And I think that trying to be the positive person for all of my family, because there's a lot of conditioning, fear-based.
Right.
A lot of conditioning, fear-based choices that kind of go around in my world with my husband, who are now separated, and my four boys, and nobody was really being the example of that I wanted to be. And I felt like I just needed some help and some strength to get to that place and to not make those choices out of pain management that would happen every so often and just keep me stifled. Yeah. So that was the main thing. The actual breakthrough was a binging episode that I had. And I'm like, this is just different. Right. I saw your feed and it just connected with me.
So Shelby, you're describing what a lot of people, we know in this group, a lot of people experience, which is really that sense of, driving forward on the outside because people feel like you need to, people are depending on you, and you want to be achieving things in life that you want to, but then on the inside, there's all this inner turmoil. And because the inner turmoil is there and you don't feel that emotional strength, you're doing stuff, but you don't have the oomph that you need. And somewhere it just feels like something is missing. I'm operating without something that I really need here. And that going along, and as people kind of keep going on in life, people hit a point that just is like, I don't know how long I can sustain this without something pivotal that I need, even though they don't know what it is necessarily. So that really speaks to how most people when they're looking to do our program, how they're feeling. So Shelby, what do you think it was that made that choice? Right, we had a conversation about all the different things that were going on and what you wanted, and because this can be a challenge for people at times. They want the changes, but it's such a new paradigm, right? It's such a different way of approaching things, because I remember how much you had said how much you have done therapy, and you'd done it all, right? I mean, you really were.
Absolutely.
Shelby was somebody who was working on seeking these solutions for herself. What do you think it was that really had you say, I'm going to do something different?
I think a really important part, Dr. T, was absorbing you and who you are on that call. I'm serious when I say this. Like, you sit in front of a therapist and they spend an hour with you and they can give you all these different advice, and behind the scenes, you don't know what their world is like. But you when you do this program and you absorb everything in this program and you believe in everything in this program and you are putting into play everything in this program, it overflows in your dialogue. Like, my dialogue is night and day from where it was 5 months ago. I mean, on a regular basis, night and day. Yep. I'm pulling things out of my toolbox. I'm saying things. I got comebacks from my boys. When I say comebacks, I mean, I've got like, this is like natural for me now. It's like a whole new world. So I think the most important thing when I came to you was the feeling of, guilt, a little bit of isolation, a little bit of not having a mentor, because I kind of knew who I wanted to be, but I had absolutely no idea that I how to get there, or even if I could. And when we spent our time on the interview and we spent our time sharing, and I put up my barriers and I put up different obstacles of why I was like, had my reservations and why I wasn't sure and what I was scared of. And when we talked, everything I said, it didn't matter what I said, you just have such a belief in knowing how this program works, and it just comes so naturally out of your mouth when we dialogue that I never felt like it was salesy pitched, or it was just you living it. And I remember saying to myself, I want to be like her. That is what I want. I want that. Like, that's what I want. So I don't know if that answers your question, but
Shelby, that is so cool, because that is kind of speaks to sometimes everyone that, like, I live this certainty, and I know I have this vantage point. Every, mental, emotional, behavioral health issue that I've ever worked with, every client, we have a 100% success rate, and I live this. But I joke, people they think this is crazy. It's too good to be true. So, but it is the truth. I just live it, knowing it, and I have the vantage point. So that sounds like that just transferred over so I'm so glad that it did. It's so glad.
Absolutely.
I'm so glad everyone, because then also what's so fun for me is then I get to have all of you in my life in a way that we will always be connected, and we'll now be part of, like Shelby's talking about the language, we're now part of a community, and like we're on the same planet, right? So I'm having more and more people in my life that are emotionally really equipped and empowered, and like Shelby's saying, she's got this methodology and this capacity. So that's really helpful, Shelby, to for that. That's really helpful for everybody to get a sense of that. So, okay. So Shelby, what do you think? Well, let's talk about going through the program. What was your experience of actually going through the program?
Oh, I mean, I loved it. And I think the most unique experience for me, being a busy mom of 4 boys
Oh
and
yeah,
travel soccer, and my life just feels so busy that ironically, doing the program and adding the work that has to be done through the program, which is very manageable. But when you're not a person who knows how to be intentional with your day, and you're not a person who knows how to like plan and organize, that can be
yeah,
overwhelming. But it's just fear
yeah,
as an excuse not to do it.
right,
So I
right.
think the best part of the program was me making time every single day to work this program. That was my time.
That's right.
That was me. That, and the feeling of like connecting with myself and the feeling of looking forward to that time that I scheduled
Yep.
for this program actually gave me more time in my
Yeah,
days because I was learning a skill through this program of how to be intentional. Well, everybody's busy. How many times do you go around all day long listening to everybody say, I'm so busy, I don't have time, I didn't get back to you, I didn't do that. I was doing more when I added this program into my, right? It's like crazy. I was actually getting more done and doing more things when I had the momentum going of knowing how to work the program into being intentional. And that's a really, I mean, I've learned so many skills, I can't even count. But the program itself, I mean, that's just a big one. Because I'm trying to think about like when I started, what my like,
Well,
you
and
know,
Shelby,
like,
let me speak to that, and then I'll ask you further about your experience, because what Shelby's really speaking to everyone is that, you know, everybody who comes to us already is in a state of overwhelm and not feeling the emotional strength that they want, which affects their energy, affects their sense of what they can do. So Shelby's speaking to something very important, which also sometimes people don't believe me when I say you're going to be adding this in for a very particular amount of time. You're going to be putting this foundation in while everything else is going on. But with each piece of it that you do, even though you could think of it as work, with each piece of it, you are actually getting lighter and lighter and stronger as a person. So as you're going through it, you are able to get more done, including the program, right? You're able to keep. So that's a really important thing to know, because otherwise people, the paradigm is it's just more to do. Even though I want to get it done, it's more to do. Shelby's making a very important point, which is it gave her an important structure and a whole context for her to transform herself, be there for herself in a way that she never done anything like that before, like that much devoted to her and her, you know, giving herself what she needed. It's a great thing to start off with, Shelby. So Shelby, then how about, you know, during the program, things that were really, you were appreciating, things that were maybe surprising, and, you know, and everybody, I want Shelby to be really honest about this, is for all of you to get a real sense of it. How was that program experience for you? Other aspects of it?
um, you know, there were times where I got emotional. I think one of the most profound moments for me was identifying like a relationship with myself, like learning about that
I
really
remember that.
exists. I mean,
remember that.
that's huge. I mean, that was a big one for me. Just learning that, wow, like I like kind of, you're married to yourself.
Yeah.
Like, this is my ring. Like, I'm married to myself.
Right.
Like, this is me for no matter what relationships come in and out of my life. This one stays forever. And I never even, just to step back and have that mindset was never there. So you really, when you nurture yourself, love on yourself, take care of yourself, realize that you do have that relationship with yourself foremost, that was a really big turning point to me. And then realizing that so much of my behavior was always so driven by people pleasing and coming from a place of emptiness, because I didn't have a relationship with myself. Hello, I like was as empty as I could be.
Right, we were missing something.
Right, and then and it would feel so weird because I'd want to give. I'm a compassionate, empathetic, caring, loving person, and I do all these acts, and then I'd be like, why do I feel so resentful and angry and frustrated and empty and guilty? And then it would just be like this really weird cycle that I would be in. So in the program, I really learned to be kind to myself and to like really look at myself as an entity, how I would look at someone else. Like, I'm a real person. Like, here I am. Like, you know, you need to have that relationship. And then that in turn started to completely manifest into better relationships with everybody else, because guess what? Now I've got something in my tank that when I give out, it's real. It's not just going through emotions. Like, I'm more present in the moment because I am more full. Right. So now when I interact, it's just, everything just flows from a place of fullness versus emptiness. That was a big one for me too.
Shelby, I love what you're saying, because there's so much that's gained in this program. People are gaining their emotional capacity. They're going from, all of our clients are people who are really driven, but they were born with that sensitivity, which means they can feel people, they can feel they know what people need, they're nurturers. But for all of us who are emotionally sensitive by nature, adding that emotional strength is the component that makes that sensitivity, like, now you're connected, but you're strong and you're not at the effect of the sensitivity. And so that's one facet that Shelby's talking and getting filled up. And then that part where I can remember the moment where Shelby really recognized, and she went through one of our transformational sessions, because I have you all like you're in session with me, and you are, and then there's different modalities we use, but and where Shelby really like it was like finding this part of yourself that wasn't there, and now there's this whole new reservoir of strength, because that relationship with yourself, it's like you were walking around life not having that full, you're like these two entities. There's you, and then you can observe yourself, and that just all of a sudden, Shelby, if I remember, it's like, even though you have this great family, it's like you're not alone in your own self anymore.
Right? Because I literally wasn't connected to myself. Like, I wasn't connected. Like, if I could describe it any other way, it would almost be like I plugged a light into myself. Like, and I got what I needed, so that was really important, really huge. And then I'll let you take the lead, but I do have another thing that was really
go ahead, Shelby, continue. It's really wanting to help people understand your experience in the program.
Yeah, this was a big one, because we all invest in our lives, whether it's physical, emotional, however we choose to invest. And I remember when I did this program, I wanted to make this investment into myself. And I remember one of the reservations I had was along the lines of, it's my business. Am I going to be able to get everything running? Is everything going to work the right way? And I remember a comment that you made that resonated so deep within my soul, that when you are filled up and you are at your full potential, and you are operating at that full potential, then guess what? Everything, the positive energy and everything that you attract is going to start to just come at you in positive ways. And the energy, people are going to be, Dr. T, from the time I started this program, I got a new business hire fell on my lap. I have had so many business opportunities come my way. Wow. Opportunities for with my boys in different relationships. I've been able to witness this program in a sense of share it with people going through difficult times. I can't explain it, but that part was really big for me too, because once I felt like I had up-leveled to that potential, then things were being drawn to me, literally. And that I have to say, in the beginning, out of everything that you shared with me and our dialogue, I remember thinking that part was a little bit more I don't know.
That's why I'm doing these interviews,
okay, all of a sudden I'm going to be positive, and I'm going to get all this stuff's going to come my way, and I'm not going to, of course I still have hard times and challenges.
Crazy.
Right? I remember that part being okay. And within the first month that I had signed up and started working this, I had a friend call me, and I was thinking about hiring somebody, but I was always nervous. And she's like, I'm recently divorced, and I need a career, and can we just have lunch? And it was our energies were amazing. She's a bucket of and then all kinds of things, examples of that started happening. And I remember being this is crazy. I feel so it's like a light walking through, when people, a magnet. And that was really cool for me to see that.
Shelby, thanks for saying that too, because I think that's another one, everyone, where people think that sounds too good to be true. But what Shelby's really speaking to is to help everybody understand that when you build that emotional strength, and you've got this great combination of that sensitivity that helps you really know and how to be connected to people, really, really relationally strong, but you now have the emotional strength to just, you are literally so strong in everything that you're doing. And someone once asked me, is it I'm so strong that I'm going to intimidate everybody? No, it's really that this rather than being in what is like an emotionally weakened state where you're just trying to power through with your self-will, what Shelby's referring to is that when you get in a powerful emotional state energetically, then your ability to just even meet those opportunities and people, it just really is the laws of physics that if you're in a high emotional energetic state and you know how to get there, right? Even if it drops for a little bit, you know how to get back there, then you're connected to now a higher level of what you can receive in life. And it's not only that you can receive it, it's that if you don't have the emotional strength, we sometimes as people won't go toward it because we're protecting ourselves because we don't feel good. Right? So Shelby is referring to just, so, and that is true. Sometimes people say, what if I can't make the full set of payments for the program? And I will say to them, I guarantee you that you will be, if you work the program, you will be, and you don't even need to know how, you will be at such a level that all of that will work because your emotional capacity and your financial capacity are all intertwined. Right? So
and I can affirm that. And I think the other thing that you said that's really important too is when I was going through this, like, it's a whole, I mean, you feel the effects right away.
Yep.
And I remember it's like you said, when you bounce down a little bit, I think that's important, like you said, because you're going to. Nobody can stay at that, operating at that like level. But the difference is when you start to dip or bounce or fall, and there's some negativity or fear or uncertainty that starts to come in. I mean, that's the biggest thing for me too. And that's where I've really been able to help my boys. It's like, you know what? We're going to feel it, but we're going to choose love and abundance, and we're going to rise, and we're going to look, and we're going to, it makes those lows so little and so much more manageable when you have the skills how to get yourself back up. Yeah. That's been huge too.
Well, that's and everyone, what Shelby's talking about is, she knows how to live in a new emotional home, a new this, like she said, this is her now. That's really how, at the end of the program, that is how you are. And yet throughout the program, that is already happening pretty quickly. But the other thing is that if we're all conditioned without realizing it to live in low emotional states and weakened emotional states, even as people leave our program, they still are generating new conditioning of staying in that emotional state as longer and longer. But that practice just goes on because they know how to do it, right? If you dip, all of our clients now, they know how to keep conditioning, getting back and staying there longer and longer. So that's the point, is that you all have everything that you need to go on and do that for yourself. So that's the real fun part about it, right? That it's not like, oh, you're going to need 57 more things later when we're done. No, this is about really integrating a whole new way of being a person that just makes the rest of who you already are get to be nice and amplified and available to people. Right? So Shelby, you mentioned a couple of things. So speak about how quickly, for your sense of how quickly you started to feel differently, and like, how that went for you. And then also you mentioned about the boys and the kinds of things. So how quickly you started to see results, and like, again, the impact on your family.
Mm-hmm. I saw results like right away. I remember I remember weeks 2, 3, and 4 were like, I was completely transformed. Week 1 was getting a little bit aware of the different mindset methodology, but I remember weeks 2, 3, and 4, I was like, this is like, I was like a different person. Yeah. And there was something that was said on one of our calls, Dr.T, and I love those short little lingos that we feed our soul and our mind that we can just pull from all the time. Yeah. And I love the one that you say, which is, you don't know what you don't know, and you can't unlearn what you learn. Like, that's been so big for me because I didn't know what I didn't know when I came into this. But like you said, when people go forward after the program, you can't unlearn this. Like, you can't say, I want to pretend I didn't hear it. It's like there. It's like there. Yeah. So I love that. But I would say very quickly. I mean, I definitely started very quickly. And, as far as my boys, it was just so neat to be able to like take their little worries and their little fears and, their little just negativity that we're so conditioned. Like everything's, especially when you've got all competitive boys and they all want mommy and everybody's doing, everybody react. There you go. A lot of reacting all the time. And I just remember like, we did a negative positive jar the second week I was doing this, where we were like talking about negative positive energy, and we were talking about like a force field around. So when someone's having a meltdown, instead of us jumping onto their, into the water with them and feeding that, then they can get on the boat of peace with us. And it's not that we don't validate what they feel, but that we're not going to join them there, and we're not going to make more of it. Instead, we're going to be a strong, solid, peaceful person, and I'm going to pull you up with me. And then how much better is that? So that was a big tool that I was able to, that was a big tool that I loved using with my boys. That still works very well with them. I mean, I could go on and on and on and on. There's just
Shelby, and I love this in particular because one of the part of our mission statement, it's really the core of it, is that not only are we helping people transform, our direct client, but our whole mission statement speaks to if impacting entire families and changing multiple generational patterns of stress and struggle, and things that end up being like depression and anxiety and all kinds of disorders, and shifting that. So when Shelby right away was realizing that her up-leveling her emotional state was up-leveling that in her boys, it was changing that for them. We love that because we had the boys in our target as well, right? People's families. We know that through this program, whoever's doing it, they're up-leveling their family, if it's their parents when they go visit them or whatever. So that was like one of my favorite parts is that the boys were getting the program too, right? And I absolutely love that. I also love, Shelby, what you say about the piece about never unlearning it, and why and that's something that all of our clients really connect to. And what Shelby's speaking to everyone is that, it's like the things that we grew up with, the conditioning people had before they came into the program, that was not getting unlearned either, right? That condition was there, and it wasn't unlearned because it was just so deeply ingrained in a culture where there's all these everybody's kind of in challenging emotional states around us every day. Because emotional training isn't the norm. So when you go through a program like this and you really automate this into yourself, that's what Shelby's saying. You don't unlearn it because it becomes your auto response. And then as you keep doing it over time, as Shelby continues on, she'll just keep every moment she comes back to it, that will just be conditioning for her for the rest of her life. But that's what's exciting, because everything else, and I think this is important to you, Shelby, right? Like everything else is sort of an open-ended process. And what was important is that I said, you're going to know what to do when you're done with this, right? That's that piece of it. So Shelby, would you say that that's absolutely the case, that when somebody's done with this program, granted, they may want to work on other things, of course, but that if they do this program completely, that they're equipped as a person in a way that they can trust themselves and go on?
Absolutely. Oh my goodness, absolutely. And I think people uncover a lot about themselves in this program that allows them to be at that full potential where they're, when they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, like that, everything just falls into place. And I think a lot of times through this program, that allows people to find that. And so they are just going to take that and run with it when they're finished, because they might even some people, I'm guessing, might end up in different careers or different jobs.
They do.
Literally, because this is such a get raw, get real. What are you aligned with? Who are you? What are you meant to do? Let's get to the bottom of it. And I think that changes people's lives. And listen, so I feel so strongly about this. This is what resonated the most with me, Dr. T. I think every human being could do this program. And that's why I wanted to do it for my boys, because everybody pain manages. Every human being pain manages. Everybody. We all at different times and different intensities have these struggles. And I remember always thinking that that pain was like a bad thing, and I had to get away from it as quickly as I could. And if that meant to drink or shove food or eat or whatever it was, to just not be able to sit and feel it. And I learned through this program too that, you sit, you feel the emotions, you let them come, you learn something from them, you trust yourself to learn what you learned from that process, and you move forward, and you don't have to pain manage. And I think that is a huge tool for people to go forward, because you're going to have all kinds of hard times in life. You're going to have deaths, you're going to have health issues, you're going to have relationship issues. And when you've just got that core sense of being able to feel, be real, bring yourself up to what story you're choosing to tell yourself with the perception that you're coming from. I don't know. It's just such a life skill that I wish I could just like, bring everybody on board, because I mean, it's such a life skill. You don't have to be at the bottom of a barrel, drinking alcohol, and it works for everybody. But my point is, everybody could benefit from this program and walk away with what I feel is the same thing, which is a whole new up leveling of their life and ability to like really just and then share that with everybody else, like you said. Yeah. Then it's like, oh my gosh, then the cycle, like everybody's around those types of people.
It's a web.
Right. What a great, well, you said web.
Shelby, I love what you're saying, because when I created all of this, years ago, there was different things that we created to deliver this kind of transformation to people. And one of them was a book at one point, and we really called it like the instruction manual no one ever gave you on being a person, right? Because I remember going, I am going through life, I'm successful, I was successful from a very young age, but I did feel like this cannot be how it works. This does not, feeling it, pain doesn't make sense. And what, I think is there just some instruction manual on being a person? So I love what you're saying about that, Shelby. And Shelby, what do you think is some of the things that you said some of them, but the biggest things that you've gained as a result that maybe even were like surprising to you versus even what I said there, what happened? Is there something you think that's just like even like so mind blowing to you about how you transformed?
I think my ability to be okay with people's discomfort, especially with where I am right now, I'm having a lot of practice with that.
That's right.
And I think that being a people pleaser, what does everybody want to do when we people please? We don't want and I'm a very sensitive, empathetic person. So I don't want anybody to feel upset. I don't want anybody to feel, like discomfort, and I have to fix it all and I have to take it all on because everything has to be like this. That is mind blowing to me, that I have actually gotten comfortable with, like, if my boy's having a meltdown or I had some boundary issues with one of my best friends, and I was like, literally 30 years of friendship, and I needed her and she wasn't able to come through. And I can count on one hand the time that I like asked for help, but with some personal things going on in my life, I needed it. And, long story short, I was able to tell her at the risk of like hurting her and her discomfort, I was able to be very real and say, listen, this is how I'm feeling, and I'm with my boys when they're having their moments of their fear, their anxiety, or, friendship issues, or maybe anger at me or Mike, or I'm able to just be okay with their discomfort, especially like with going through things with my husband right now. And I mean, I'm able to say, you know what, I'm available for this. I understand you're frustrated and you're upset about that. I don't invalidate, but I don't feel the need to bend or come out of alignment with myself to please everybody else. I'm okay with them being discomfort because they're going to have to work through it. I can't manage everybody's emotions. That was a big one for me that I didn't think I didn't really think I'd feel that. Like, you kept saying it to me. You've got to be okay with like the discomfort, Shelby. You can't. And that one took a little longer through the program for me. Plus I've had a lot of things going on that
challenged it,
put a lot of that discomfort in my face. But like you said, things keep showing up when you're supposed to grow in it.
Yeah, you want to train it. You want to train it in the thick of it. So
in the thick of it,
Shelby, that is so perfect for people to hear, because that, I believe, is one of the most painful, addictive patterns that we have. And so for everybody to know, the way I conceptualize addictive patterns is that there's a combination of behavior and of emotions, uncomfortable emotions that then drive behavioral patterns, and they just can be anything. They can be saying something you don't mean, right? And you feel like, God, how did that come out of my mouth or whatever? So Shelby being able to recognize that, and this is what happens when people are emotionally sensitive without having built the strength that now Shelby has and the program does for people. Then other people's stuff then kind of impacts us, and then we find ourselves doing stuff we don't want to do, we don't mean to do. But we're trying to relieve that tension because we're feeling their feelings and we don't have the strength that Shelby now has. So to be able to eliminate what is one of the most insidious emotional and behavioral patterns of feeling uncomfortable with other people's emotions, and then now Shelby has the strength so that they can feel them, and she can just focus on what she needs to focus on and how she wants to navigate that. And I would say, I don't know about you, Shelby, you agree this is one of the most insidious things that people deal with, that they don't even consider what it really does and how much turmoil it brings.
All the time. I think it's huge. I even think back, so many, there's just so many times, even you think back to like high school children and like young girls, young boys, different environmental things where people are just so drawn to want to make sure that they just feel so obligated to do whatever might be out of alignment with themselves to make sure that they didn't leave somebody else disappointed or somebody else upset or somebody else. I think it's such an epidemic of how we are conditioned and
living in that tension. Living in that tension of just thinking, I'm going to need to have a conversation with somebody or what somebody might say. And so that's one of the amazing benefits of gaining this connection to self and emotional strength. And it's perfect, Shelby, because that's one that just is across the board for people. And I love that people can get a chance to understand that when you can eliminate that from your life, you're dropping a whole level of tension that you've been walking around with, holding your breath your whole life without realizing it. Right? So Shelby, what do you think it is about the combination of like just the things that we do? Why do you think the program works for people? Why do you think it worked for you?
I think it worked for me. Well, first of all, it worked for me because it resonated with me. Like everything that was said made sense to me. I mean, it has to make sense.
Yes, it's a fit.
And I don't really know many people who could go through this program and rebuttal anything that I don't understand it. Like, I don't know how you couldn't say the things that you learned don't make sense.
Yeah.
So number one, it makes sense. It just makes sense. Number two, I think that when my initial phone call with you, Dr. T, I wanted what you had.
Yeah.
And so when you do this program and you are linked up with other people who this resonates with all of them and they all want the same thing and you're all feeding off of each other's positive energy and you're all feeding off of each other's, up leveling a desire to do that. You feel the momentum. You just have it. So again, I don't know how it couldn't work. From that standpoint,
got it.
It'd be different if you were thrown into a fire of like 10 negative people drowning, and you're the one person that's trying to like make it all work. But you are all with the same people wanting to do the same thing in a program that works. So it's like set up for success. Like I don't see how it couldn't. I don't see how it couldn't.
Thank you. It makes perfect sense that, and this is important for everybody, that who's part of the struggles that come with being emotionally sensitive and not having the level of emotional strength and capacity you need is that people don't trust themselves, right? Because there's a part of themselves that isn't built up enough. They've gotten sort of affected in life, so they don't trust themselves. And that's an important thing for everyone to know, because you should not trust yourself because you think like you can't be trusted. Recognize that if a part of you isn't developed, that's what was creating the issues. It wasn't that you don't know how to know what you need or what's best for you. So I would say to everybody that just a regular point of knowing if something's right for you is if what we're talking about, if what you hear me saying in my client interviews and all of that, if it resonates for you, that you can trust it, because when the combination of you knowing something is a fit for you and then building up a part of yourself, an emotional foundation that was never there, the combination of those things are going to take care of everything. Right? So you're not only going to go, well, that resonates with me, like that I know that makes sense to me, but then you'll get the emotional strength so that you don't even ever have to worry about trusting yourself because you've got it within you. It's a really important one. Yeah.
And then can I add one?
Yeah.
Can I add one other, Dr. T?
Yep.
This is really great, because when we would have our calls, one of my favorite things that you did was you always start every call off with celebrations. And it's such an uplifting, positive thing. And when you do a lot of therapy, you spend so much time in the past. Not always, but I've done enough therapy to know that you spend a lot of time in the past. You spend a lot of time like talking about problems, and not that we don't all have those things. But again, everything's what we choose to put our focus on. And one of my favorite things about your program is there's a lot of components that tie in some of our past experiences to give us an understanding of who we are. but you focus so much more on the future. Like you focus so much more on your potential and what going forward looks like and what are the celebrations of where you've come. And I remember getting on some of those calls when I would be having an off day or an off moment, and I'd be like, God, what am I going to say in the celebration part today? I don't even know. And I remember one time, but every time I get on that
I'd say,
call,
I've got one for you.
Yeah, right? I remember like every time I would get on the call and I would hear other people, I would always have something that I'd be like, oh, you know what? I can celebrate that. Or I can celebrate, I got a lot. And I'd hang up the phone call and I'd be like, I got so much to celebrate, man. I'm so glad I was on that call. So I just had to put that in there too. I love that you focus a lot on the celebrations and the progress that people make too.
And Shelby, you speak to the point of the hyper learning and hyper evolution that comes with a group of people who have dealt with similar things, but then that are so driven to feel like they can just live their potential and have that capacity, then that takes care of a lot right there, because there's all this energy of intention, as you mentioned earlier, together. And then it just makes it really freaking fun. So instead of, if somebody came in at the program, they've been dealing with horrible, medical, emotional conditions or whatever, this is a different way. We're not healing by digging into the pain in some way and hanging out there. We're strengthening, and strengthening is healing. People tend to think of this concept of healing, but when somebody breaks their arm, it's really that the bones strengthen back together. The way healing really is you're strengthening, or even a scab, right? The tissue grows, it just re-strengthens itself. And that is a very different paradigm than living in the pain and trying to make sense of it, because there's no sense, right? There's no sense of it. So Shelby, I love this. So few more questions here. So Shelby, what would you say to people who, just have a range of different issues, because there's so many similarities to the human condition that everybody has, but, who've just, again, they've felt addicted to things, food, alcohol, drugs, difficult relationships, anything and everything. Maybe they've been diagnosed, depression, anxiety, all kinds of different disorders, or in some people's cases, like many, many diagnoses. They've started to have pain in their body and have health conditions. And what would you say to them about the power of what's possible through this program for them?
It's so funny that you used the word power, because literally as you were saying all that stuff, the very first thing in my head was they feel powerless. And I think the thing that this program teaches you is that you are very powerful. Like, you're a powerful creator, and you can still take all kinds of scenarios and you can realize that you have the power inside you to literally make it the best. Like, one of the reasons people pain manage and they feel addicted to alcohol is they feel powerless. And that was the biggest transition when I thought about it. I'm like, I am not powerless. I am all powerful. I am so powerful. And when you realize that, you don't even want to pain manage. You can take on so many different things. And that's a mindset paradigm shift. And that was a big one for me. So it's funny that you use that word, because that's the first thing I would say is I think people feel powerless. I think people feel lost. I think people feel so apt to want to put their faith and trust in anybody else but themselves, because they don't feel connected to themselves. And I'm just putting it out there that I'm a Christian and I'm faith-based. And my favorite Bible quote is, greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. So guess what? Like, that's in me. God, all powerful in me. I have what I need to be my best. And I think being in this program, I just feel like that just would help so many people be able to have that shift, to be able to know that whatever they're dealing with, like, they don't have to be fear-based, because a lot of powerlessness is linked to fear. It's all fear. Everything is fear. It's either fear or love. Like, fear and scarcity, or love and abundance. That's my that's my motto too. And so when we feel powerful in love, that's always going to win out over fear and powerlessness. It's just a conditioning. We are not conditioned for that. Like, we're conditioned for the other. And I love that this program gives you a conditioning. I read somewhere, Dr. T, that it takes 4 affirmations for one negative thought.
No.
Because we are so conditioned with all negative. Imagine how much positive we have to compensate for our.
Well, and Shelby's speaking to something really important, right? Which is, why is that? Why is the physics of that the case? because negative thoughts are so weakening. They weaken us without us really knowing it. And this is part of what happens in the program is most people kind of get a sense of a lot of their issues and they can see the obvious ones, but Shelby knows is that through the program, you get in to see the minutia of everywhere that you are in some sort of emotional stress pattern and how that can weaken and weaken. And what Shelby's speaking to about why anyone, literally anyone with any diagnosed disorder, any set constellation of issues, why this can be different is that every other uh, treatment or any kind of process that people usually go through, it continues to focus on the condition, the issues, all of the stuff that just makes you feel more overwhelmed. And the paradigm shift that people make really in the first week is that when you focus on your power, your purpose, and your potential versus I'm going to be focusing on my recovery, right? And this never ending recovery and fixing myself cycle, then right there, it's a matter of tapping into what's already in you. And then that can fuels you for the rest of your life. And of course, for the rest of the program. Right. So Shelby, that couldn't be more perfect because I know so many of you, I hear from you. I know, whether it's anxiety, depression, bipolar, borderline, this most significant things that have been diagnosed or the most significant, just ways that you feel so broken, you've got autoimmune disorders, all of that, trusting and knowing that the transforming through a new thing. And Shelby, if you'll just speak to that, like people that are used to going to all these doctors and stuff like that, about being open to like an entirely new paradigm of transforming as a person. What would you say to that?
Oh my goodness. I think about all the therapy I went to. You almost become codependent sometimes on a therapist. Like right. You almost like feel like I can't wait till I get to that next appointment. You know what I mean? Like with this program, I can go back. I've gone back to your modules.
Yeah, you're waiting.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you what you said.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, Shelby, you have to get your next dose. You have to wait for your next dose. Yeah.
Right, exactly. And I feel like with this program, I can listen to a module anytime I want. I can pull it up. I can put my headphones on. I can pump myself up. I have all the tools every day. If I want to do it every day, I can do it. Right. And I just feel like with this, it teaches all this. It puts all the skills on me. I'm developing the skill set. Yeah. So in time, I want to teach these skill sets to other people versus me having to go get, and I'm not saying that therapy hasn't helped in some places. I think where therapy has helped me the most is allowing me to know that I'm not alone. Because so many other people, and I think back to therapy, that would be it. I'd be like, wow, I'm not alone. So many other people have these problems. If I went to an AA meeting or different meeting like that, I would sit there and I'd feel, okay, I'm not alone. Here is everybody. But what am I really going to do differently? Everybody sits around and talks about the same thing. So I think with this program, the fact that you have the lifetime skill set that you can't unlearn, takes away the codependent feeling of having to run to somebody else when you learn the skill set yourself.
Shelby,
that's huge.
Perfect for everybody to know that it's designed that way. Again, people love to continue to work and build upon their strength and everything beyond the program because it's so exciting to do so. But the idea is through everything that people are learning in the program, you're all learning how to do what I do, right? So that you all in the rest of your life, you're the pilot, not the passenger. So even if you need to go to a medical doctor, whatever it is, you're all going to know more, than they do. You're going to know how to lead through that rather than being like the passenger in your own health care throughout your life and anything that you're needing. So it's designed for everybody to know everything I know, to know every way that I train people so that you all become essentially that physician yourself. You all become have that capacity. So that's exactly an outcome that's intended. And so Shelby, we'll just wrap a little bit here by, I think one of the most exciting outcomes that I noticed that came from you and that was what really changed for you through this program about what you want to do in the future, right, with your career. and who you want to do it with, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So tell everybody what really came to you and what we're looking at here.
So it's funny, when I did one of the exercises, I actually had a degree in psychology, so I've always been a want to like just tend to people and help, and I've always been somebody who wants to work with people. And I always tell my kids this when they ask, well, why do bad things happen? And I said, listen, God allows those things to happen so that we can take those experiences and then we can connect with others, and then we can build them up and we can help. Otherwise, we would all feel all alone all the time. Like, we have these different pockets of similarities of negative experiences so that we pull together and work together. And so I have my own business right now, going on 18 years, men's custom clothing business. I love what I do. And I recently hired a partner, and she's going to be doing this. And I was going to go back to do teaching a while ago. And anyway, I always, in the back of my mind, I always had this thing in the back of my mind that I wanted to just connect somehow and use my skill and what I feel are my strengths to help and make the difference in the lives of others. And so when I was doing this program, again, everything that is spoken in this interview is just overspewing from my heart, because it just so connects with me and who I am and what I believe and what I've lived through this program, that when I was doing one of the exercises, every single thing kept coming back to, I want to make a difference in the lives of others. I want to use this and I want to help others. I want to be able to help my boys. I want to make the world a better place by conditioning. And so I found out through this, I would love to be working with Dr. T and the program and doing life coaching and hoping that when I'm on the end that you were on, Dr. T, when I called you, that people can feel that through me, and that people can like see and just resonate and want what they hear and see in me when I converse with them. And that just gives me so much fulfillment, because I mean, fulfillment, you can have everybody's different. You can have all the kinds of things in the world. But to me, fulfillment is connecting with somebody and knowing I made a difference. And that this program is just, I can only imagine all the different types of people that come through here. Because, again, I'm one of those people that on the outside totally looked like I just had it all together. I mean, like, I don't really even know if people, I talk about this program constantly. But I guess my point is, when I'm vulnerable and share everything, like, people might have been like, really, Shelby? Like, you struggled with that, or you did that? Like, really? Like, and I know there's so many different people that come through your program, people that are probably CEOs and, have all this, like, and then there's people who can't get out of bed. And there's such a variety of people, but I just feel so strongly that all of the issues intertwine to the same root of like, pain managing and not having the connection with yourself, and not believing and trusting yourself, and not knowing what to do. And so I just feel like through this program, I am so honored and so blessed. And I thank God every day that I was right where I was supposed to be and crossing paths to be able to connect with you, Dr. T. This has been a game changer for me, life changing. And the best part is that I've affected so many others with it. So that's my favorite.
Shelby, well,
thank you. Thank you for doing what you do. You're awesome.
You're so welcome. And this is the dream of my life, everyone, is that in getting to select the people that we know can keep our 100% success rate. I am very attached to that. And knowing who's going to really, attack the program, who's going to just devour it and just seek that transformation through that process. And for me to then get to just bring people into my life that just become family. We are interconnected in a level that will be there forever. It's such a very profound relationship that I have with my clients, my team does. And to have situations where what I always desired would happen is that our clients are able to take, and I say this, I want them to be able to even take this program and to give it to everyone that they want in their life. If they want to go on and be life coaches and take it and give it, it's designed to heal, to really heal, but it's to strengthen people and strengthen families. And it's designed to have a big web of impact everywhere I can have it happen through my clients and what they take on. But it's just icing on the cake for Shelby to then want to come and work with our team, which we're organizing here. And she's in a transition, and we're organizing for that. And so you just never know, and that's the fun about it all, that I know I'm going to get people the results, but then you never know what beautiful things are going to unfold and how that develops and what that means for then, Shelby to go on and be someone in our company that will impact many, many other people, let alone the people in her life. So it's just, this is the best. This is as good as it gets, really. So
win-win.
Win-win. So, all right, everyone. So, and Shelby, we'll just wrap it there because that's the icing on the cake. And we'll just say to everyone, if any of this resonates with any of you and you want to just learn about what's possible, and maybe again you feel a little intimidated about something new, but you've been able to connect to what Shelby's saying, you can always contact us to do a consultation. And it's something that, whatever happens in it, it'll be life-changing for you. And so if you're interested, if you want to give yourself an opportunity for something that is completely different, even if you don't go forward with the program, know that the practice of stepping up, knowing just having a little emotional strength to step up and try to see what something's like, is a good practice all the way around, right? And it'll help you with everything else that you want to do, things that you're feeling intimidated about doing as well. Okay, so thank you everybody for hanging out with Shelby and I, and thank you very much, Shelby. Love you, and just thank you for sharing yourself with everybody today.
You are so welcome. I hope it touches the lives of many, and thank you, Dr. T. I love you.
You're so welcome.